listening to Co-op 91.7 FM, radio for people, not for profit. Welcome to the Austin Public Library radio show, Volumes. I'm your host, Kanya Lyons, and...
I'm Mike Wheat. Each week, we'll talk to librarians and other superheroes who make the Austin Public Library a hub of knowledge, technology, and inspiration for our community. Volumes. We bring the library to you every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Welcome back.
Yeah, today we're going to talk to the lovely Mary Bell.
Mary Bell.
But before we get to that, I have a little personal library story I would like to share with everyone.
I can't wait.
Well, really, I was just thinking about it just last week, and I was thinking about how the library's really just been there for me every step of my life, like from little tiny kid to obnoxious teenager to young adult to, young entrepreneur to single working mother and teacher, you name it. So, and I guess I kind of always took for granted how awesome our library is, but I didn't really think about it until now. So, as a young reader, I just spent all my free time at the library. I would go and just read like Peter Rabbit, whatever I could get my hands on, Nancy Drew, Encyclopedia Brown, Chronicles of Narnia, Lord of the Rings, whatever I could find, right? Mm-hmm. And then, I would beg my mother to drop me after school to do my homework, quote unquote. And, I did some homework, but mostly I would just go straight for the books and just read. And just, stretching my mind, imagining places and characters and, all those things. And then way later in high school, I little slightly less nerdy, but still pretty nerdy, reading Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe and Kurt Vonnegut. And, I remember one time me and some friends had to study for the SAT. And our parents wouldn't let us hang out. And we were like, but we're going to the library to study.
And they're like, likely story.
But really, that was that unlocked the door. They were like, oh, you're going to go study at the library? Well, that's okay. And we totally did. We took the bus down to the library. We studied. And I swear we did better on our SAT because we really got to talk about stuff, not just kind of reading dry facts. I don't know. I just feel like it was always there for me. And it kind of helped with some test anxiety, too, to just have a little social community time. And then later when I was at ACC and then at UT, as teachers would assign these topic-based papers. And if you're like me and you would procrastinate until the very last day or two, all the good resource books were checked out, and so you would have to I don't know. Anyway, I would just go to the public library and I would always find what I needed. And it was always right there for me. And, even one time I remember I was taking a grant writing class and I didn't quite have the money for the book for the class. And I found that the library had an older version, just a few years older and most of the same stuff. And so I used that content. For the first couple
just
months.
Older paper.
And then, eventually I had the money for the official textbook that was the right, publishing date or whatever. And I got that and, it's just the library was there. And then, I moved back from Mexico, single mom with a kid, working as a teacher at a preschool. And so I was constantly at the library looking up science projects, looking up art projects, looking, for picture books to read with the kids, lesson plan ideas, you name it.
Some pre-start learning.
CDs to listen to with the kids. They love music. They love to sing along. It's a great way to stretch their vocabulary and learn different languages and stuff. So, it was just amazing, all the things that the library's given me. And then I didn't even know at that time that the library has story times and the library has puppet shows and stuff. If I had known about that, I don't think I would have ever left the library.
Right.
But yeah, honestly, the library has so many cool things, so many cool events, all this stuff happening all at once. Yeah. And most people just don't even know about it. I've worked here, over 8 years now, and I'm still constantly learning new things about the library.
Yeah, I'm constantly amazed at how much we keep growing the programs. Every week there are many events occurring at branches all over the city. We have a whole lot upcoming, so here's a few of our colleagues to tell you about it, starting with Blair Parsons.
On Saturday, November 12th, the Falk Central Library hosts What's Your Story, a creative writing workshop in celebration of National Novel Writing Month. Creative writing instructors from Badger Dog will offer guidance and troubleshoot story challenges to keep your novel on track. The workshop is 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, Saturday, November 12th, at the Falk Central Library. No novel in progress is needed to attend. On Tuesday, November 15th, in conjunction with General Assembly, the Twin Oaks Branch Library hosts a class on user experience design. The class will highlight careers in user experience design and tools available to improve your own websites and applications. User experience experts will lead the class and provide guidance. The class begins at 6:30 p.m. Tuesday, November 15th at the Twin Oaks Branch Library.
This is Kathleen Houlihan, the teen librarian at the Falk Center Library downtown, bringing you all the teen and tween events happening across the Austin Public Library system for the upcoming week. On Thursday, November 10th, teens can discuss Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas at the Teen Book Club at the Yarborough branch at 7 p.m. On Saturday, November 12th, Recycled Reads, the library's used bookstore, will host a dream interpretation workshop for teens and adults. And on Tuesday, November 15th, visit the University Hills branch for a teen and tween STEAM event at 5, and the Howson branch for a teen book club on The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak at 6:30 p.m. And next Wednesday, November 16th at 5 p.m. is the Mostly Manga Book Club at the University Hills branch, which will discuss Hellsing at 5 p.m. And teens and tweens can learn basic sewing and make a cuddly baby owl at the Felt Friends World Tour at the Carver Branch Library on Thursday, November 10th at 4:30 p.m. or at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, November 16th at the Falk Center Library. And on Tuesday, November 15th, the Falk Center Library will be hosting a midway party for National Novel Writing Month, complete with writing sprints, games, challenges, and more for young authors from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. More library programs and details are at library.austintexas.gov/events.
This is Ann Minner, Youth Services Manager, to tell you about the events for children happening around the Austin Public Library system for the upcoming week. Kids of all reading levels are welcome to read to a certified Austin Dog Alliance trained therapy dog and their human at the North Village branch at 3:30 p.m. on Thursday the 10th or at the Yarborough branch at 11:30 a.m. on Saturday the 12th. On Sunday, November 13th, storybook dance making will be at Recycled Reads at 2 p.m. This class is taught by artists of Dance Waterloo, an interdisciplinary dance collective in Austin, and it combines music, dance, and books. Literature Live, the Austin Public Library puppet troupe, continues its fall performances of The Nutcracker this week at the Little Walnut Creek branch on Tuesday, November 15th at 4:30 p.m. and at the North Village branch on Wednesday, November 16th at 3:30 p.m. Details on these programs and the many baby, toddler, preschool, and all ages story times offered throughout the week are at library.austintexas.gov.
Co-op Radio features roots programming every morning of the week. This is Rod Moog inviting you to join me for the country, swing, and rockabilly jamboree Thursday mornings from 9 to 11. Our country is classic, our swing is western, and the rockabilly is the early kind from the mid-1950s. Thursday mornings 9 to 11. Look for you there.
In the studio with us today, we have Mary Bell, who is a social work student with the library's My Library Keeps Me Healthy initiative. Hey, Mary.
Hi. Thank you for
Mary.
having me. Hi.
We're so happy to have you here. So a lot of people don't know. Let me just set it up. The library currently has a program called My Library Keeps Me Healthy. This is year 2 of the grant, and or it's a grant-funded initiative. And this year we're focusing on health screenings, computer help, but most of all, and most importantly, social services. And there's also some informational events and some other, great
Just
services.
general library awareness of all the stuff we
Absolutely.
offer.
But the social work is a real core component of this year's focus. And so Mary here, so tell me, you have a nursing background, is that right?
I do. This is a second career for me. I have actually been a registered nurse for 28 years.
Wow.
And I just decided at a certain point in my life that I figure I'm going to be working for at least another 25, and I wanted to do something different. And this is actually a job that utilizes the skills that I've acquired over the years, and I'm just using them in a different way. It's just a different kind of healing.
Just a different application, right?
That's really neat. So you weren't helping enough people as a nurse. You had to go a little further and like, what else can I do to help people?
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Well, so tell me, what kind of services are you currently offering in conjunction with the My Library Keeps Me Healthy program at the?
In many respects, I'm a broker in that I talk to people in the library and help them find what it is that they need. And it could be anything from, can I get a bus pass? Recently it was, where do I vote? Or it can be sometimes very complex, very difficult situations
Very personal.
Oh, yes. That are involved, and it can take over half an hour sometimes trying to find what this person needs. And the My Library Keeps Me Healthy website has all of these resources where I can look. The 211 resource page, the databases, the Aunt Bertha website, which has just a plethora of resources and has them divided up neatly by area code. So that's mostly what I'm doing, is just talking to people and helping them find what they need.
That's pretty exciting. And so for people that are at home listening, you can the URL, the information is available at library.austintexas.gov/health. That's that health portal that Mary was talking about that kind of leads people into this labyrinth of amazing health information, all kinds of different resources all together in one place. And real quick, I want to mention that this program, the My Library Keeps Me Healthy initiative, is made possible by a grant from the U.S. Institute of Museum and Library Museum and Library Services, as well as the Texas State Library and Archives Commission. And this is the 2017 grant. So it started at the end of 2016, but it actually goes through 2017. And so Mary...
So we'll be fortunate enough to have Mary around for at least that long.
Helping
folks navigate through all our plentiful resources.
So you have some really amazing stories about kind of, transformations where you were able to connect people to the specific resources they were looking for. The one instance I'm thinking of had to do with a caseworker. Can you tell me that story?
Yes. There was a gentleman. He was a homeless vet in one of the libraries, and he had, he was at the library pretty much daily. They all knew him, and he was always trying to find his caseworker, but he didn't know the person's name and really didn't have any details. It had maybe been over a year. So nobody really knew what to tell them. So, of course, when I walked in the door, it was like, oh, here's one for Mary. And so I sat down and talked to the gentleman, and he, of course, wanted to find his caseworker. And I said, well, what's her name? Well, I don't know. I don't remember. Okay. Well, how long has it been since you've seen them? I think it's been a year. Okay. So can you tell me anything about this caseworker? Well, I think she had twins. Okay, so that's it. She had twins. Okay.
That's all the information you got.
Okay, so we just, I called the VA and I am hoping they don't laugh in my face and say, well, I'm trying to help
Who has
them.
twins?
Yeah, who has twins? And to their credit, they did not laugh at me. They said, well, let me try. I'm going to connect you with this other office who might be able to help you. And I went through the whole thing again, who has twins. And they said, and again, they did laugh at me to their credit. And finally, they sent me to one more person. And I explained once again who I am and what I was looking for, and that, this person had twins. And all of a sudden, I hear this pause, and I hear this voice going, Rhonda, who's that caseworker that had the twins? And I get this name, and I looked at him, and I said, was it this person? Yes, that's who. And okay. So we go to the we get the number, and I call a few times, and I finally get her. And I introduced myself. I said, I have this gentleman, and I told her his name, who's been looking for you for a very long time. And she said, oh, my God, you found him. And as it turns out, she had been looking for him. And she said he had fallen off the map. I'm trying to get him housing. I have a place for him.
She had a house for him?
Well, not a house, but she
Somewhere
had a
to live.
spot.
Wow.
A place to get him in, because there's funding now. There's a big initiative to get vets off the streets, and so it's not taking as long. And she was thrilled, and she said, I just reviewed his case yesterday.
Oh.
And
Kismet.
so, I told, and I told this man, I'm talking to her, she's going to come see you. And he was just beside himself. He was so excited and so happy. And so I arranged, she came at 1:00 the next day. And so he was sure to be there, because he usually was every day. And there you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
For
wow,
a
that
year,
makes
he's
me-
probably
that-
been feeling super disenfranchised and like he wasn't going to get any help, and it took one person to care.
Well,
heartwarming.
and a lot of luck. A lot of luck.
Well, and asking the
you
important
called
questions.
and you called and you called. That's it. I've
Who
heard
has
you.
twins?
I've seen you in action. You're like, so what have you had to eat today?
Yeah.
You really care. People want to open up to you. They want to talk to you because
You're very disarming.
very warm,
My goodness.
and you kind of put people at ease.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yes, sometimes that's all I can do. Many of the people that I deal with are homeless, and many of them do have mental health issues. And sometimes, there's not much, especially when you're having a conversation with someone who's very delusional and are not rational. And all you can really do is listen.
Right.
And just kind of interject. Well, have you had something to eat today? Have you sleeping somewhere? Have you been to a doctor? And sometimes they will answer, and sometimes not. And so I will write resources down, and they'll come back and see me again. So it's very rewarding. I absolutely never know what I'm going to hear next.
That keeps it exciting.
That's so cool. Well, we only have a couple more minutes left in this interview, so I was hoping you could tell me a little bit about. You have a couple of programs coming up, right?
I do. The next program that we have is November 17th, and it's Finding the Help You Need. And this program is specifically for women who have recently been incarcerated and are trying to reintegrate into the community and find mental health and addiction resources and help. And this particular program, we are going to have Dr. Warren from ATCIC talk about resources for addiction and mental health and availability. We are going to have a representative from the Texas Department of Insurance talk about how to get Obamacare while you can, how to, do you need to apply for a MAP card? What type of coverage can you get? And the next thing that we have is people from Austin Freenet who will be there actually helping women sign up and make appointments and get registered. So,
that's really great.
Yes.
Is there room for family members that are dealing with?
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's always open to anyone who just wants more information, regardless of whether or not that
To
is
help themselves or someone they love.
Exactly.
And that particular program is on Thursday, December 1st.
No.
Nope.
This one is November 17th at Terrazas Branch Library from 6:30 to 8. And that's the library on Cesar Chavez. Now, we do have another program on December 1st where we will have a speaker, Karen Reynes, from the National Alliance of Mental Illness. And this program is for parents of teens who have mental health and addiction issues, dual diagnosis specific issues, because I had talked to some parents who were really struggling with the fact that they had this child with all these issues and they didn't know where they could get help, not just the kids, but where they could get the support and help and, stop playing the shame and blame game that so many
Right.
parents play when they have a child and something is wrong.
And a lack of resources to deal
Yes.
with it,
and to get past the stigma and realize that this is way more common than you think, and that there is help
And
support.
they need support
Yeah.
too.
That's the importance
Absolutely.
of programs like this, to bring it out to the public. You know, there's so many people who hide feeling ashamed, like you mentioned, and the more and more we can at least just address it as a whole, they realize they're not alone. They can come get the help they need.
Yeah, we've all been through stuff, and so whether you've experienced the same exact thing or not, I feel like when you're open about it, it lets other people know, oh, it's okay. I have problems too. We all have stuff to deal with.
Absolutely. So that's hence the name of the program. You're not alone.
Great.
That's great. Well, so all of this information, details about these programs you were talking about can be found through that same portal we mentioned earlier, library.austintexas.gov/health. From there are all the information about these different separate programs, links to other events, yada yada yada, resources, amazing stuff. It's all there.
Yeah.
Well, so in closing, is there anything else you would like to say?
Just that the library has so much stuff. It's so much more than books. And on this website, there's the virtual library. There are so many resources at your fingertips that so many people don't realize are there. So make use. Go online, look at some of these websites that are available, and just go on and take a look. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for coming in, Mary. That was wonderful.
You're welcome.
Really
Thank
glad
you
about
for
the work
having
you're
me.
doing.
Next up, we're going to play an excerpt from the library's Austin Creates podcast. But first, we're going to have a little station ID.
You're listening to KOOP, Hornsby, Austin. This is 91.7 on your FM dial, and we're streaming on the internet at www.koop.org. The mission of the Capital Area Food Bank is to nourish hungry people and to lead our community in ending hunger. The Capital Area Food Bank seeks advocates, donors, and volunteers to join their mission. More information can be found at austinfoodbank.org.
Next up, we are now going to play that excerpt from the library's Austin Creates
Remember when?
podcast. This is featuring a conversation with Austin musician Jack O'Brien of the Bright Light Social Hour, and he's talking about the music scene and his appreciation for the library, of all things. Let's roll that clip,
Music
y'all.
has taken you a lot of different places, and you've mentioned a couple times in Nashville, Mexico, places like that.
Mm-hmm.
Why Austin? Why stay here in Austin? What does it provide for you? What does it give you?
Well, I think the geography is a really important thing with music that I think in the current day and age with the internet and everything, people try to ignore, but you really can't. It's we're in an interesting place. We're in the South, but not really. We're like in our own place. We're 4 hours from Mexico, but we're not in Mexico. We're not in the Midwest. It's its own vibe, and I think it's a really progressive city that's I think it's a model for how a lot of places would like to be and how the ways that they would like to grow. And being here my whole life, seeing the city change and grow, and gigging in downtown since I was 15, moving from Dirty Six, where all the clubs were now, like to East Six or wherever clubs are. It's just always been this unique mix of, it's like a big crossroads of places and styles and ideologies, and showing that we can have like a lot of this southern and like international culture and tradition, but also like be a voice of progress and people who are thinking in new ways, and and are just sweet, good people that care about each other and are trying to help each other out instead of being competitive.
This is the Library Podcast, and I'm curious, what value has the library brought to your life over the course of time?
Actually, when I was a kid, my mom would take me all the time to the library downtown. She grew up in Mexico, in Oaxaca City, and when we actually moved to Austin, I was a kid when I was in second grade, so that she could come to do her MBA at UT, and so she would always take us down there with her, and she would go study and let us kind of run around the library, and it really was just such a huge, amazing place, and I grew up, went to school, and ended up going to grad school at UT too, and found myself hanging out there again, which is really great experience. So it just was really eye-opening to, I think there's just something about seeing a place that's many stories, that is filled with books, that you just realize like each one of those books is a entry to a whole another world, like a whole other dimension. So it's like you just feel like you're almost at like it's like the international airport of like literary worlds. It's really cool.
All right. Again, that was Jack O'Brien with Austin's own Bright Light Social Hour, discussing what it's like to be a musician in Austin and what the Austin Public Library has done for him and other musicians on our other podcast called Austin Creates. And the host of that was Aaron Negron. This and many other Austin Public Library podcasts can be found at library.austintexas.gov/volumes.
Sweet. And special thanks to Mary Bell for joining us today. We're so happy to have you here talking about all the great My Library Keeps Me Healthy things that we have. And I just wanted to...
Everything you're doing for our public.
Absolutely. And then let's just one more time for people that maybe missed it. Can you give the dates and the locations for those two programs you were talking about?
Yes. The program Finding the Help You Need is November 17th, and that's the program for women who have recently been incarcerated and are trying to find mental health and addiction services. And that one is at the Terrazas Branch Library between 6:30 and 8.
Awesome.
And the other one is on December 1st. It's You Are Not Alone, and that program is at the Wilhampton Branch Library, and it is also from 6:30 to 8, and it is for parents of teens who have mental health and drug addiction issues.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much for coming in, Mary.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
My pleasure.
I just wanted to also let people know that the additional information about all of these other resources and community events and things at the library can be found at library.austintexas.gov. I also wanted to just take one quick moment to mention a couple of really cool other types of programs. So we do these things called Skill Up workshops, and this is in partnership with Google Fiber. And as you know, they're going to be soon bringing Google Fiber to the library, so we'll have much faster connections than we do now, which we're all looking forward to when that happens. But they've been partnering with us to provide programs. One is called What is User Experience Design? That is happening Tuesday, November 15th from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the Twin Oaks branch, which is on South 5th Street. And you just show up and learn some cool stuff. It's great. More information about that, you can call 512-974-9980 and get more information about that. I guess that's all we have time for today.
That's all true.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Kanya.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Steph. Thanks, DJ.
Steph. Thanks, DJ.
All right, let's roll the credits.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening to Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show on Co-op 91.7 FM.
A special thanks to our audio engineer, DJ Harris, and our volunteer production assistant, Sev Corson.
And to the musicians who composed and performed our original theme song, Andrew Noble on violin, Kirk Duval on guitar, and APL's very own Mike Wheat on percussion.
Volumes, the Austin Public Library radio show, airs Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on 91.7 FM, Co-op Radio, Hornsby, Austin.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye-bye.